Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aisha. If you're new here, thank you for clicking on this video and I hope you enjoy it. So a couple of days ago, I asked people to share their favorite books of 2022 with me on Instagram, and a couple of people sent in their responses, a lot of books. I can see some familiar books and some unfamiliar ones, so I'm just going to be sharing that with you guys. The first person to respond is Stephanie. Her handle is steph.oz. I'll put it on the screen. And she says that her favorite books of the year is The Mountain Sing and Butter Honey Pig Bread. I've read The Mountain Sing and it's actually one of my favorite books of 2022 as well, but I haven't read Butter Honey Pig Bread. I was planning to read it in December, but that just didn't work out, so inshallah I'll be reading it this month. Sunsplash 96, this is Muhammad. He says that his favorite book of the year is Servants of Allah, African Muslims Enslaved in the Americas by I can't pronounce his name. I think this author is Senegalese. I first came across this book in 2020, and it's like one of the prominent books to read about Black Muslims, and I haven't read it because it's like very expensive, like £21. So I'm yet to read it, but inshallah I'll look for it in the library and see if I can read it from the library. Reflections, Reads and Ramblings as 3 different favorite books of the year. One of them is The Dutch House. I don't know who this is by. The Dutch House is by Anne Patchett. I think I've seen the book around actually. I haven't read it, so that looks interesting. One of your other favorite books is Where the Crawdads Sing. I've seen this book around. I'm not interested in reading it because like the author has been accused of like killing people in Uganda or one African country, so I can find better alternatives for it. Then your last favorite book of the year is We Are All Birds of Uganda. I want to read this book as well, and I think this book is about like South East Asian style. We're thrown out of Uganda by Idi Amin. I think it's like the premise of the book, so that would be nice to read, but like I'm not very excited to read it. I'm just like there. So Clay House Musin says that your favorite books of the year are Pachinko by Min Jin Lee and Ghost by Dolly Adelton. I have read Pachinko by Min Jin Lee and I watched the series adaptation in 2022 as well, but I have not read Ghosts by Dolly Adelton. Let me look for it. So the blog says that Ghost is a smart, sexy, laugh out loud romantic comedy about ex-boyfriends, imperfect parents, friends with kids, and a man who disappears the moment he says I love you. Oh, okay, I'm going to add this to my TBR list. This sounds very interesting. Serenity Queen says that her favorite books of the year are It Ends With Us, November 9, and Tell Me Your Dreams. I know that the first 2 are by Colin Hoover just because they're everywhere, but I don't know who the author of the last one is. Google is saying that Tell Me Your Dreams is by Sydney Sheldon. I don't know if that's the book that they were referring to, but yeah, I'm over my Sydney Sheldon phase, so I'm not interested in this. And I'm not really interested in Colin Hoover, but I might read It Ends With Us. Okwade Goodman says that his favorite book of the year is The Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I actually recommended this book to him, so I've also read The Purple Hibiscus. I read it twice so far. I read it first when I left secondary school in 2012, and I reread it in 2019, so that was a very good one. Arami says that she didn't read a lot, but she enjoyed Ogadima. I also recommended this book to her. If I give it to her, I give her my copy to read. So, I don't know how to pronounce this, sorry. This person says their favorite book of the year is It Ends With Us by Colin Hoover. Colin Hoover has a lot of like fans, so I'm not surprised by this, but yeah. Nenya says she has a lot of favorite books, and she sent me like a whole list. So these books are Nenye's favorite books of 2022. The Transcended Kingdom, I've not read it. I think it's by Yagayasi. Pillars of Secrets, I've not read it as well, but I'm planning to read it this year, inshallah. The Island of Missing Trees, I should have read it last year, but I don't feel Elif Shafak's vibe, but inshallah, I'm going to read it because I have a copy somewhere. Here Comes the Sun, I'm going to read it this year, inshallah. Butter Honey Pig Bread, inshallah, I'm going to read it this year. Open Water, not interested in reading it. Their Eyes Were Watching God, I've not read this book actually. I might read it this year, inshallah, because it's a classic and I want to read classics. When We Were Birds, I've not read it, but I'll try to read it this year. Homegoing, read it, loved it. Lessons in Chemistry, I've not read it, we'll try to read it this year as well. The Death of Vivek Orji, I've read it, loved it. 7 Days in June, I've not read it, but I got a copy. Love and Other Words, I've not read it. I'm not sure if I'm interested, but it sounds nice. The First Woman, read it, one of my favorite books of 2022 as well. Maybe you should talk to someone. I don't know this book, but it sounds very interesting. Things We Do Not Tell the People We Love, read it. Thought was decent. Patsy, I've not read it. Secret Lives of Church Ladies, read it, loved it. Tomorrow, and Tomorrow, I've not read it, but I think I'm going to enjoy it. Cleopatra and Frankenstein, I've not read it, but everyone says nice things about this one. The Brown Sisters trilogy, read it, loved some of them, did not like one of them. Tomorrow I Become a Woman, read it, loved it. Also one of my favorite books of 2022. The Vanishing Elf, I've not read it. Vagabonds, not interested in reading it, sorry. God's Children are Little Broken Things, very interested in this one. I'm going to find a copy. What a Mother's Love Don't Teach You, I'm actually very interested in this one as well. Then oluoma.co says a favorite book of the year is Transcended Kingdom by Yagiasi. I've not read it, but I'm not really interested in reading it. I might try it at some point. Rana says that our favorite books of the year are Radiance and War Doctor. So Rana reads a lot of non-fiction, so I'm not surprised that she enjoyed these books. I'm going to read War Doctor this year, inshallah, based on Rana's recommendation. So Ijabi Places says our favorite books of the year are Ace of Spades, also one of my favorite books of 2022. Against a Loveless World, also one of my favorite books of 2022. I like this, babe. School for Good Mothers, I was supposed to read it last year, but no, I didn't end up reading it. Good Intentions, I'm not interested in reading it just because like the premise doesn't work for me, but I'm glad you enjoyed your reading year, mashallah. Half Pie, my babes. Half says that our favorite book of 2022 is Kim Young, born 1982. This is like a translated Korean fiction. I should have read this book, but it just didn't come up, so I'm going to read it this year, inshallah. I'll try. Diomokbe, also one of my babes, says that our favorite book is Grumpy Romance. I'm not sure. Maybe she thought I was asking about our favorite genre. But anyway. The Reading Station says that our favorite books are Broken People's Playlists. I love Chimeka Garrix, but I haven't been able to get my hands on this copy of his latest book. So inshallah, I'll also read it. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. The next book is Secret Lives of Papa Sheki's Wives. Read it years ago, loved it. Tomorrow I Become a Woman, also read it, loved it. Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry. I've seen this book around. I'm not sure I'm interested, but I'm glad you enjoyed them. And You Add Me at Ola. I've not read it. I'm not sure I'm interested, really. Coconut Milk Shorty. This is Fatima. Fatima says that her favorite book of the year is Vagabonds by Elosa Osunde. I'm not interested in reading this book. I'm sorry, babes. But I'm glad that you enjoyed it. But I'm sorry. Flame and Flight says our favorite book of 2022 is All About Love by Bell Hooks. I'm going to try and read this book this year, inshallah. Reads and Diary says our favorite book of the year is Crying in H-Mat. Also, I've not read this book before. I've read very good things. Now Battle's favorite books of the year are Finding Me by Viola Davis. I'm not sure I'm interested, but I might try it out. And Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Iyimide. I love you, girl. Olaitan's favorite book of 2022 is At Night All Blood is Black by David Diop. I read this book also in 2022. It was my last read for 2022. This book was very sad, but I really enjoyed it. Not many people would enjoy the narrative style of the book because it's quite repetitive, but I enjoyed it. So I see why you liked it. In between books, that's Ege. Ege is also booktube. I'll link her channel. Ege's favorite books of 2022 are Against the Loveless World by Susanna Bulahawa, also one of my favorite books of 2022. 7 Days in June, I've not read it. The Memoirs of Bees, also one of my favorite books of 2022. God's Children Are Broken Things. I need to read this book. Everybody loves this book. I need to read it. And Pleasant View. I really enjoyed Pleasant View as well. Wow Yak says our favorite book of 2022 is 10 minutes and 38 seconds. I think this is by Elif Shafak. I'm not really an Elif Shafak fan. Her books have just never drawn me, but I see why people would enjoy this one. One of my friends wrote a review one time that I read and I thought was interesting. Fictionary Mind T. She says her favorite books of 2022 are The Stationery Shop of Tehran. That sounds very interesting. I've not read that book. Animal Farm by George Orwell. I see you. On the Jellicoe Road. I don't know this book. The Book Thief. I know when she read this book and she really loved it. I know. And Betty. I've seen Betty around and it would be nice to read it because it's like a multi-generational story, I think. Bookstead's favorite book of 2022 is The Mountain Sings. I like her. I really like her. She reads OX. Asiya. Asia's favorite books of 2022 are Discretion by Faiz Gwen. This is going to be my second read for this year, inshallah, because I already started one book, so I'm going to read this next, inshallah. Lemon Trees. I don't know that this is the full title of this book, but I know the book she's talking about. Life Ceremony by Sayaka Murata, I believe. Also want to read this book. The Stardust Thief. I think this is like sci-fi. I'm not interested in it. Sorry, Asia. Then Head Above Water. I also have a copy of this book somewhere. Yeah, I'm going to read it this year, inshallah. CTC reads favorite books of the year. I Must Betray You. Okay, that sounds very interesting. Lessons in Chemistry, I've seen it around. Notes on an Execution. I don't know this one. Saving Noah, that sounds very interesting. The Rogers Review says their favorite book of 2022 is The Interview by E.M. Ewan. I don't know this book. Sounds very interesting, but I don't know it. Kauthara Salami. Kauthara Salam says that she has only read 2 books this year. You've not told me your favorite book. You just said you've read 2 books this year. It doesn't matter. 2 books is good enough number. Miss Mackenzie says that her favorite book of the year is Homegoing, but she still hasn't finished it. I've also read Homegoing, and Homegoing was very interesting. What is Tomiwa Reading says that their favorite books of 2022 are Pachinko, I'm Glad My Mom Died, and Kim Ji-young, born 1982. So I've read Pachinko and I'm Glad My Mom Died, and I really enjoyed them. I haven't read the last one, so... Showbo's Deal, this is Taufik, says that his favorite book of 2022 is A Broken People's Playlist by Chimika Garrett. I need to read this book ASAP. My girl Aisha the Bibliophile says that her favorite books of 2022 are Blue by Emily Prophet and What Strange Paradise by Omar El Hakkad. So I have What Strange Paradise on my TBR list because of Aisha. Blue, I'm not very interested in reading, but she's trying to get me to read this book. So we'll see, because I trust Aisha's reading tastes. Ali Mood's favorite book of 2022 is Against White Feminism by Rafia Zakaria. I've seen this book and I'm very interested in reading it. Very interested in reading it. Khadija reads, this is my sister, says that her favorite book of 2022 is One of Us is Lying. I'm not interested in reading it, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. I don't know how to pronounce this, and I'll put it on the screen. This person says that their favorite books of 2022 are Daughters Will Walk This Path and Stay With Me. I love Stay With Me. Stay With Me was my favorite book of 2017, I believe. And I've reread it twice since then, and I'm going to reread it this year, inshallah, in preparation for Ayobami Adebayo's latest book. Ordinary Vagabond says their favorite book of 2022 is the autobiography of Malcolm X. I haven't read this book and I'm ashamed to say that, but I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. So, What Lena Reed says that their favorite books of 2022 are In the End, It Was All About Love. That sounds very interesting. The New Age of Empire and Swimming in the Dark. Okay. I'm going to have a look at these books. Our card says that our favorite books of 2022 are Onion Spice and Yinka, Where's Your Husband? So, Onion Spice is on my TBR list for 2023, but I am judging you for saying Yinka, Where's Your Husband? It's one of your favorite books of 2022. I am judging you so badly, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Bukola Yemi says that our favorite books of 2022 are The Personal Librarian by Maria Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go and look for this book. So The Personal Librarian is fictionalized telling of the life work of Bella de Costa Green, the personal librarian to J.P. Morgan, as well as the first director of Morgan Library and Museum. Ooh. And 40 Rules of Love by Elif Shafak. Not really an Elif Shafak fan, so I don't think I'll ever pick this book up, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Cynthia says that favorite book of 2022 is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Daniel Keyes has never really been somebody I would vibe to, but this sounds like a very good book. Lee Ambivert says that her favorite books of 2022 are Tomorrow I Become a Woman, Of Women and Frogs, Is Only Wives, Pachinko, The Inner Artist, The Wonderful Life of Senator Boniface, and Other Sorry Tales. Ooh. So I've read Tomorrow I Become a Woman, also one of my favorite books of 2022. I haven't read Of Women and Frogs, plan to read it this year, inshallah. Is Only Wife, I also haven't read it. I will try to read it this year. Pachinko, read it, loved it. The Inner Artist, I haven't read it. I'm not really interested in reading it, honestly. The Wonderful Life of Senator Boniface and Other Sorry Tales. I've seen this book around and it sounds very interesting. So the last book on the Ambivert's list is The Woman in White Kimono. Actually, I'm going to look for this book. Nahoko has fallen in love with an American sailor and wants to marry him. Ooh, okay. This sounds like a multi-generational tale. I think it sounds very interesting, actually. Okay, I'm going to add it to my TBR list. And that is it for all of your favorite books of 2022. I'm glad that you guys share this with me. It's so nice to hear people's favorite books, because people like talking about their favorite books. I'm also glad that some of those books are also on my list of favorite books of 2022. So thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you've watched this video up until this point, comment the books emoji, because we love books. Thank you again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.